This is Amplify You, the podcast about you discovering your message and broadcasting it to the world. If you're a coach, author, or speaker, you'll want to tune in. If you're looking for the best return on your time investment to get your message out to the world in a bigger way, we're giving you full access and behind the scenes look of how we're running our podcast, how our clients have found success, and what you can do to launch your podcast today. The world needs your message. I'm Michelle Abraham, the host. Join my family as we unleash your unique genius and find the connections you need to launch your adventure today. Join us and let's get amplified. Hello, Amplify You family. Michelle Abraham, your host here, and I am so excited to bring you another Ask the Expert interview. Oh my gosh, today we are headed all the way down to Auckland, New Zealand, where I'm joined by Christine and Brian Phillips of Your Hidden Mind. So welcome, Brian and Christine. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
Lovely, thank you.
Lovely to be talking to you. I'm Christine. He'll talk about himself in a moment. And I am the author behind the online app called Your Hidden Mind, which is currently in use all over the world. I am the author of the RAPS, the Rhythmic Activating Prose, the prose that utilizes the science of memory reconsolidation to open old doors that drive and support behavioral and health issues that you feel today. When you open old doors unexpectedly, and that's the key point, unexpectedly, that is unconsciously, your brain automatically makes adjustments, believe it or not. We are that clever. And these adjustments take place as your conscious defenses, that is your thinking, is not already locked in. And that's why the unexpected nature is so important. Okay, and Brian will tell you a bit about himself.
Yes, and I was the person who sort of got us into this way back then.
Oh, over 20 years ago.
Okay, when I was looking for some way. I was out in the commercial world for the first time as such, and life wasn't heading the right direction.
Ex-military.
And so I was looking for something to help me get through it. And I tried all you name it. I looked at all the different mindsets and things like modalities and everything. And I came across EFT tapping, and that rang a bell. So I got heavily into that. But after a while of working with that and working with people, I realized it had limitations in that when you wanted to use it for yourself, on yourself.
In the moment.
It works very well when you're working with somebody, because everything that controls us or drives us, especially as entrepreneurs or business people, is we're driven, or anything in life, we're all driven by our memories, which are held in our subconscious. Without those, we couldn't survive, we couldn't function. And getting into our subconscious ourselves is just about impossible. We need an outside source to trigger, to get behind those protections that we have. And that's where working with people does help, because they can say things which are unexpected. But we needed a tool. We worked out that we needed a tool that we could use in the moment.
Yeah.
When we're on our own.
Grab your phone.
Wherever. And we can't pick up and phone our counselor or consultant or whatever. So that's where we decided we had to look into something different. And we did a lot of research, a lot of background study, a lot of emphasis, and that's where we got into the neuroscience of memory reconsolidation. And that's where it's like stand-up comedy or poetry. It takes you down a route and suddenly goes sideways. Okay, and the unexpected happens, and that's what triggers your subconscious and a way back memory that you didn't even know was there, and you may not even appreciate it when it is there. But that is the trigger, the underlying, the basis of what you do today.
And that's what allows your brain to do the healing. We all know that we can heal ourselves if we cut our skin. That's not the bandage. We are in control of healing those cells. And we can also do the same for anything that's going on upstairs here.
So that's why we developed the system solely, 100% without any external source. We developed the system, Your Hidden Mind, and the Rhythmic Activating Prose, which Christine has written every single word.
Wow, that's so interesting. So take us back to something you said that I was like, I'm not sure our audience is going to know what that is. What is memory reconciliation? Or reconsolidation is what you said.
Yeah, reconsolidation. Well, it's just what Brian described. your memories are sitting in constellations up here. We don't make new constellations. We only have a limited number. By the time you're about 4 or 5, you've got your maximum number, and then you gradually decide what you need to keep to survive for your life. Every person to survive needs attention and protection. And each one of us individually decides what we need to keep. And we keep those core moments in here. And then every time something happens in a similar vein, we activate that particular constellation. And that then makes us behave to protect ourselves in the same way each and every time. But what happens is you're now layering and layering and layering all these other emotional events on top of the core one. And so our behaviors sometimes get worse and worse and worse as we get older, more and more fearful as we age. Children are not fearful, but we sure learn how to be fearful around certain things. And most people, when they address their problems once they're older, they look at the peak of their problem and try to whittle their way down to find out what's going on. Well, you'll never get there, because what is stored in the core is stored at a time pre-4 years old, most likely, when you are unable to access those core moments as a picture. And we all look for pictures whenever we want to try and recall something that we think needs fixing. So you have to be able to look at things from this unexpected angle, as Brian said. And as you do that, your brain is so clever, it sees that moment from a wider angle, an angle of more life experience. And in that moment, your brain dilutes how you stored it.
First stored it.
Yeah. And all your added on things. There is only one way to get into the core, and that is through unconscious means, into your subconscious unconsciously.
And so memory reconsolidation is that finding that original memory with all the intensity and emotion and everything that happened,
and tweaking it.
That's the first time you learned it, so it's huge, it's massive. And memory consolidation is now looking at it from a new perspective, so that it can now reevaluate it and lower the intensity reactions, and change it, so you see it differently with less intensity, less
and
emotion.
No one can tell you how to do that. You have to find your own way as an individual back to your beginnings.
And this is what it does, because each of us is utterly unique.
Yeah.
Utterly unique. You can be in exactly the same environment at exactly the same time with a sibling, but you will interpret it totally differently to them and store a different emotion differently.
Does that help you?
I'm not, and I'm laughing because my brother and I always talk about memories of our childhood, and we were recording a podcast for my mom Mother's Day about some of the memories we have of her and everything, and I was like, I don't remember it that way. And he's like, yeah, it happened like this. I'm like, no, it happened like this. And it was totally different.
Example, yeah. And consequently, how you each remembered those things are part and parcel of how you're now driven to behave one way and he's driven to behave another way. That's just what we are. We are nothing but a journey of our experiences. But how those experiences now drive us can be quite harmful.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting. So, looking at your hidden mind is really for people that want to achieve the mental and emotional freedom, right? Like we all are, especially as entrepreneurs, I feel like we get to a certain level and then we get stuck or something gets stagnant. So this is really to help you conquer those habits and fears, anxiety, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean,
it does everything.
It
stops you procrastinating with all those things you say.
Procrastinating is big with entrepreneurs. Yeah,
big with entrepreneurs, and it's all fear-based and fear-based on something that you
individually experienced
and never knew what it was until you experienced it, and that's what's driving you.
Yeah. And so your hidden mind is not a quick fix, because we are so many. Our brain contains all this information. We have approximately 50,000 moments a day that our brain's recording. And so the scale there that may have to be looked at is quite large. So your hidden mind is a daily process of literally just picking. And you don't have to try to pick up. Like, quickly, I'll just quickly say, if you've got a habit like smoking, drinking, procrastinating, whatever it is, trying to change that will only make it worse. But with this system, you change the need to have that. And so one day you suddenly just discover, I'm just doing it. I'm not procrastinating. I've forgotten that I was a smoker. I've forgotten that I was a drinker, whatever it is. We never tell anyone to try to change anything, because that only makes it worse.
And the other point quickly, sorry, I know we have a lot of time, is that this is where our system is unique. We do not, the way it works is utterly unique.
No instructions.
No instructions. And you don't look, I have this problem. I'm a procrastinator. Where is the rhythmic activating prose specific? It doesn't work like that at all.
Because that's only a symptom.
It's only a symptom. And that's what catches people out of it. What we say is you pick a number. That's how the system works. And your brain will find the appropriate rap that you actually need
in the moment,
which may have nothing, the title will be nothing to do with procrastination, but in the rap, there is something there that will link you back to what is causing you initially, your fear.
Yeah, we love entrepreneurs to take these new leaps.
Cool. Yeah. I love it. So this is an app, so it's all done on it could be on a mobile device that you're listening to these, right? So I'm imagining that I am taking my lunch break and I'm going out for a walk and I'm listening. Do I have to be lying down, or can I be active and moving?
You can read it, or you can listen to it.
Or it's all in audio too.
All in audio. Yeah.
Great for us podcasters that like listening to audio. That's perfect.
Many people.
Yeah. So that's the 25% of the world that are the audio learners are really going to enjoy that part of it. They can take it with you and listen to it. So that's amazing. And then can you share a couple of stories of students or people that you've seen come take some of this, use this system and see some results?
She's a perfect example.
I'm a perfect example, but we won't worry about me. I was a 47-year smoker until until one day I'm in my office and the other folk came and said, "Christine, are you coming out?" I said, "Coming out for what?" "Well, we're going out for smoko." I said, "What? Why would I?" And I just realised in that moment I had actually forgotten I was a dedicated 47-year smoker who would have left her family rather than stop smoking. But that's just one thing. We have so many people who discover something about themselves that they never knew. Somebody who has spent their whole life working, office work or whatever it is, suddenly discover that what they actually are is an artist.
Yeah, one lady we have is brilliant.
Yeah, this just happens over and over. Suddenly somebody discovers there's a poet inside them. And this then changes sometimes the direction the entrepreneur is wanting to go, but it always ends up adding a flavor to their work that they are now totally connected to. It's quite extraordinary. Writers who get to be blocked, suddenly out come the stories. Sports people is another thing. You can be a golfer and you can say, my score is 71. And you can almost guarantee that until wrapping, they'd go out first 9 holes, they're thinking, I'm going to get below 71 this time. By the time they get to the end, they're back to 71. So what happens with wrapping, suddenly the focus shifts from that aim. It's just, I'm playing. And they get to the end and they have improved their score. How did that happen?
Interesting.
Take away the fear. Take away the fear. And the entrepreneurs just blossom.
And it also helps your health, because as an entrepreneur, there are a lot of stresses and things that go on in your life. And whenever you stress, your body is reacting to it. All your cells are reacting. They're generating hormones and chemicals and all that. Yeah. And if we constantly do that, we have to damage ourselves.
We are just a machine making our own cells day in, day out.
And if we keep replacing those cells with the same memories and the same stress and all that involved, we're just going to keep doing the same damage. What we found with your hidden mind system is it takes that away and you're able to replace your cells with calmer new cells with a different layer effect and
outcome.
outcome,
Yeah.
and it takes that out.
So many people say, oh, I've got this and I've got that. And why have I got that? Oh, it's because of my age, because of this. No, it's not. It was way deeper than that. And age is really not something that you need to blame for getting anything. Your fears have been repeated so often, it ends up impacting you as you age, rather.
I would imagine, like, down the road, you might find some direct correlation between cancer cells and, doing this work on your mind too, because
very
I mean, gosh.
I'll give you a little.
He'll just give you one quick one.
One quick one. Some years ago, I was having my annual prostate check, and they discovered I had two tumors.
The most aggressive kind?
Yeah, they tested them, and the guy just said, wow, I have to get you to the hospital, because if we don't, this is going to spread. And he said, well, I can't, because I'm fully booked for a fortnight. I've apologized, but that's all I can do. I said, don't worry about it. I'll work for it. I'll rap for it.
Because none of us know we've got cancer until someone says, hey, you've got cancer.
Right.
Yeah. It's like the rust of the body. You don't know rust is in a thing until it pops out, do you?
Anyway, he worked.
So I worked on myself for 2 weeks. Just through wrapping. Went into the hospital, had the operation, and he came out and said, I can't believe it. There was only one
tumor left,
and it was like smaller. And
nothing had
spread to any of the other cells or lymph glands or anything around.
No chemo?
Nothing.
Nothing. No treatment after? Nothing.
And in fact, it was quite funny because I had no pain, no discomfort. And the one nurse came and said, yeah, take your painkillers. And I said, I don't need them, thank you. Every day. Why won't you take your pain? I don't need them.
I'm not in pain.
I'm not in pain. I don't have any pain. She said, you have to. You've had a major operation. I said, give me your painkiller. I'll take it. Now, does that make you feel happy? Thank you. Because I didn't need it.
She needed it. But that's
oh my gosh, wow.
So I don't say, I'm not saying that our system cures cancer or anything like that. We'll never ever say anything like that. We won't make
but somehow you disrupted your self-production process through your life experiences, and which only you know.
Wow. Wow. I would imagine that this would do wonders for weight loss as well, if it's something that's been triggered and blocking someone from doing that. I know I'm in that constant cycle.
Anything that's traumatized you on a cellular level will have an impact on your body. Anything. And what happens is people who are carrying weight, and in particular areas of their body, because one person says, I've got all my weight in my thighs, another one's got all their weight in their chest, another one's got it all in their belly. That's because the traumas that impacted them from their life experiences were all focused in one particular sensation that they were feeling or affected by. So, and it's quite clear as to which one when you start doing it.
Interesting. Yeah, that's
Lots
fascinating.
Of food for thought.
Yeah, it's so great to hear like that you've had so many life-changing results or seen people just change their life so many different ways. Now someone would download the app and it's a monthly subscription to the app that you can then do this as often as you like, or is there something that you need to do as a start and stop kind of thing, or how does that work?
Okay, so what happens is we have a membership, and you can either do it monthly for $19.99 US or $188 a year annually.
And just one little point there. When you get your subscription, you can then share it with your family members. So that subscription is now divided by how many people you choose to allow to use it.
Okay, so it has your email and your password. It's yours, okay, and you can take it anywhere you go because it's on your phone or your laptop or whatever. Right now, because we're working with a university that are now going to set up a pilot study, we've actually set up a pre-pilot study trial, okay, which is a 28-day set of program which we can use, and we're offering it like to you if you'd like to do it and take part. And what all it entails is doing 20 minutes twice a day of reading or listening to some raps, and that's about it for 28 days.
And at the end of it, there is a questionnaire, but we don't record any information whatsoever with this system. We don't ask anyone to tell us our problem. We ask, the program asks you to tell yourself. So you get to answer your questions, hide them away. You do this for about a month or 2 months or whatever you want to do, and then you answer the same questions. Then you go back and get your first one and you compare them, and you get to see your life changing. It's of no value to anyone else. This is important to you alone.
Very personal, very private. That's what we work on our system. It's personal and private.
Yeah, that's it. So if anyone wants
I love
to
that it's not your. I love that it's not your subconscious brain telling you need to quit smoking. You need to listen to this one, right?
No,
I love how it's very subconscious.
Yeah.
That's
That's damaging, trying to tell yourself to do anything like that. No one can make another person do anything.
Right.
You know, you ask a husband or a wife.
Yeah. But this free trial is free that we're
It's
running
free
at the moment, just at the moment.
cool.
So, yeah.
Very cool. That sounds awesome. I'd love to try it out. I think that sounds really
Oh, you're
cool.
welcome. Yeah, you're welcome.
That sounds great. And I imagine that this would be so interesting for, I just see so many entrepreneurs starting businesses, and they get to a certain point, they give up, they fail, and like oftentimes they're just so close to like making it work, but something sabotage them and stop them in their tracks from like going any further. It'd be really cool.
If never something sabotaging them, it is always your individual entrepreneurs doing it to themselves, and that's key. What you're just saying, what you're saying is brilliant.
Yeah, so fascinating. Wow, that's really cool. So for people who want to go check it out, they would go to yourhiddenmind.com and go check out more about you guys there. And I'd love to hear just a little bit more about, before we let you guys go, what are some of your favorite things that you've seen happen from someone using this? And we touched on a couple of them, which I think is fantastic. Your story about smoking was amazing. My dad used to have a laser life quit smoking business back in the day, and that was really interesting to see. But this sounds something like you just forget about. That's so cool. And I'd love to know how, like, what was the story? And you touched on it a little bit from the military and getting into EFT, but then how did you come up with this system?
That's really interesting. We are a family business, okay? Entirely, everything's in the family. Brian started this over 20 years ago in his curious mind, wanting to know something else. He felt there had to be something beyond what he was seeing out there, and that's how he ended up in EFT, as he said. So from EFT, he recognized so much was going on there. But what we did is
we looked at NLP and all that as well.
Everything, yeah.
So,
we started running classes in our home, and we had people coming out the woodwork to do EFT. But we recognized the limitations because each person is so unique. Each person required individual attention in reality. And that's just because, as I said, to survive, we all need attention and protections. And so if we don't get individual attention, we start blowing things up bigger and bigger and bigger to get that attention, right?
The other thing is that people kept saying, could you write down what you've just said?
Yeah,
could you give me some words to use?
Yeah, that was another
and
thing.
I can't because...
Well, Brian was a chronic dyslexic until rapping, so he could not write things down. And so I said, hang on a minute, I'm a wordsmith, I'll write it down for you. And that's how I came in from the word point of view, right? But I had also spent over 40 years with language schools and with physical fitness, health and fitness in that arena. And I was still doing that very thing. So the whole thing tied together. But this all took a long time. This is not just quick. Along the way, our daughter Gwenda, who's quite a smart little cookie, was noticing that all the changes in these people, and she was really curious because she was skeptical that this could possibly work. I mean, really skeptical. So she went and started studying what we were doing from a neuroscience perspective. And she looked into and studied the brain, and realized just what it was that we were doing. All right. From there, it is just grown, because we originally had the whole thing in print, in a print form, our little books. And then it had to grow into an online business. People said, come on, get with it, go online. And that's when we developed the online system. And then online is all very well, but there are a lot of people who don't want to be online. And that's when we went and I wrote the books for the Guess What series, which can be utilized and work in the same way. And so this is how it all came about. Does that help you?
Yeah. I just love hearing the backstory of how something started with an idea. And I love that it's a family business and you guys can all do it together. And it's something that you're all passionate about. And I love that your daughter went back to school and really dug into the neuroscience and realized that you guys weren't crazy. It was totally legit what you were doing. I think that's awesome.
Our son was even more skeptical, but he is now the business manager.
That's great. I love that so much. So cool. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about this from you guys, and I'm going to dive into your guys' your case study group, and I will report back to you, Amplify You podcast listeners out there, as to what I experienced over my next 28 days checking this out and seeing what my mind is going to uncover that is hidden and preventing me from blasting through my entrepreneurial goals, my health goals, and see what else is in there.
That's brilliant. And of course, we do have a Facebook page, Your Hidden Mind, and on there you'll see that we put up our videos that we do during the week, so you can get those.
It's all free.
And we have a subgroup, a action group, and people put numbers in there.
If they want to ask questions, it's Your Hidden Mind action group.
Yeah.
If they want private conversations with us, they can go there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And when you go to Your Hidden Mind, you will see not only Brian and I, but our we have facilitators around the world. You'll see other people doing the wrapping as well.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's
Love
wonderful.
it. Any last words for our audience out there, guys, before we let you go? I know, Brian, you're just about to say something really good.
I just wanted to check that the email address that you use is this one that you want us to use. Yeah,
yes, please.
Your entrepreneurs, don't try fighting yourself by thinking you can solve your problem by thinking. That's just an argument with yourself.
I love that. Don't try to solve your problems by thinking. That is a big mistake. I love it. And you guys, make sure you go check out yourhiddenmind.com. And Brian and Christine, thank you so much for joining us today on Amplify You. This has been very interesting, and I can't wait to see what things unfold in the next 28 days. All right, Amplify You family out there, go out, be great. Remember, your uniqueness is your genius, and amplifying it to the world is ours. Take care for now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.